Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the City of Alameda Mayor's Town Hall. I'm Sarah Henry, the city's Public Information Officer. Joining us today are sustainability experts Connie Ulassowitz, Robin Pluchok, and Janine Sidran from Stop Waste, Carrie Parker and Mark Green from the city's Public Works Department. Please note that all participants have been muted. To submit a question for our speakers, you can use the chat feature. All of our town halls are recorded and available on the city's website and also on our YouTube channel. I'd now like to turn today's town hall over to Mayor Marilyn Ezzy Ashcraft.
Thank you, Sarah, and welcome everyone. It is so nice to be back with you. We took a couple of Fridays off during the holidays, but we are back and ready with lots of good topics to bring you. And before I talk about today's topic, which I think is a great way to start the new year, I just want to do and we'll make sure everyone's muted who's not speaking. And I do want to remind you that the reason we're meeting in this format is that we are in the midst of a pandemic. And there's good news on the horizon. Actually, there's good news here because the vaccines are rolling out. We're getting our medical providers vaccinated. They're in the first tier, tier 1A of phase 1 of the governor's vaccination plan. But at the same time that's happening, we also know that there is this much more contagious variant of the coronavirus that is circulating. And so we don't know if it's in our immediate area. We should act as if it is. And so just last night, I don't know if any of you were on Congresswoman Barbara Lee's excellent town hall, where she had a couple of doctors from National Institutes of Health and also our own wonderful Alameda County public health doctor, Kathleen Clannon, who's overseeing the vaccine efforts in Alameda County. But one of the things that one of the doctors from NIH mentioned is with the reason this new variant is so much more contagious is that it contains many more of these small particles. They are dispersed in the air more easily. They stay there more easily than the larger ones that tend to drop to the ground sooner. So you want to make sure that you're wearing your mask whenever you leave your house. Make sure it's a tight fitting mask. I was showing Sarah my mask earlier. It's my poker face. Those are like the little, from the cards. Everyone needs a poker face. But anyway, whatever your mask is, make sure it's tight fitting over your nose, over your mouth, over your chin, and stay at least 6 feet away from people who do not live in your same household. More distance is better. Wash your hands frequently. Those are the things we can do to keep ourselves safe while we're waiting for our place in the vaccine queue. And once your category comes up, whatever it is, and we'll be doing lots of messaging and publicizing around this, step up, roll up your sleeve, get yourself vaccinated to protect yourself and others, your loved ones, your friends. We're going to do this together. Alameda has done a remarkable job. We hover around the 4th lowest number of positive COVID cases per capita in Alameda County, but nonetheless, we are part of California where there are huge alarming increases. Our hospitalization rates, at least on Wednesday when I was on a conference call with County Public Health, are actually pretty decent. We had on Wednesday, and it could have changed, 19% ICU capacity. And that's the good news. The bad news is Alameda County is considered part of the Bay Area region, and our neighboring counties are not all doing as well as we are. So the overall ICU bed capacity, Sarah, is what it's low in the Bay Area region, right?
Yeah, it's under 4%.
So, and we have to realize, as our public health officer, Dr. Nicholas Moss, was telling us, that with that 19% capacity, we have to expect transfers from Southern California hospitals, as I'm sure you've heard, are filled to the max. So what I would say is just keep doing what you're doing. You are rock stars in slowing and preventing the spread of COVID-19. By our actions, we can help bring down the number countywide, and we can succeed. And it's just a matter of holding on. Time and science are on our side. Before long, second half of the year, if not more into the spring, we'll be getting vaccines out to the general public. So more on that later, but I just wanted to remind you to keep doing what you're doing. So with that, we are so excited to have this panel talking to us to help you start the new year fresh, free of clutter. I don't know about clutter in your mind, but at least clutter in your home and your yard, garage, basement, what have you. And at the same time, be respectful of the planet. You know, we just one planet, as the high school students would say, there's no planet B. And so we need to take care of the one we've got, but also there's some great opportunities for things you're not using to go to someone else or another good use. So I am really so impressed with the talent and dedication gathered on this panel today, and I want to just launch right into it. So I want to introduce Connie Ulassowitz, who is, I'm going to let you do your introduction, Connie, because she has a fascinating background. If she doesn't tell you, I will tell you. She recently retired last year, where she was head of San Francisco State University's textile department, and she is an author and expert in her field. So Connie, tell us a little bit about you, and then share your wisdom with us. And I think I've told all the panelists, when you all finish your presentations, we will be taking audience questions. So be prepared. And Connie, welcome, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mayor Ashcraft and Sarah. And I just wanted to clarify, I am not with Stop Waste.
Right. Oh,
okay.
I apologize. I realized when I was reading the order, I had to say Connie, comma, and then the two from Stop Waste, comma, and the two from Public Works. And as I was going through it, I was like, that did not get across correctly. So my apologies.
I don't know. They might want to snatch her up, though, when they hear her presentation.
Okay, but they haven't done that yet. So currently I'm with CBU Productions, and as Marilyn said, I am an emeritus faculty at San Francisco State University. The work I do is in researching, writing, speaking, and engaging with individuals, whether it's at a group of people at a conference, to understand the true value and the importance of clothing and textiles, and purchasing them and what we do when we no longer want them. So when I'm saying textiles, it's not just the clothing that we wear, it's the sheets that we sleep in, it's the towels that we use, it's the carpets that we put our feet on, it's the scarves that we go around our neck. And what I'm doing is really looking at what we buy, who we buy it from, and then what is it that we do with it. So my career, to just give that in a nutshell, was I have been 40 years in the business, starting out with companies, if you recall, a company named Esprit, which is a junior manufacturer. So I was fortunate enough to work with them and travel the globe at that point in production, looking for what they were looking for, which have been the value of a textile product. And then working for a company called Joni Char, and then my own company that I co-founded called Lewis and Lee. And at that point, that was before babies were mandated to wear hats for sun protection, because this was in the 80s. But we started there was a hat company, Booties and Bibs. And then from there, I went into private label manufacturing. And then from there, my last 23 years have been in the teaching industry. And the department is the department of not textiles, but it was family, nutrition, apparel, and interior design. So that's what it was at San Francisco State. I have a short video some pictures I wanted to show you, because textiles are something that are visual and tactile and also absorbent, which is why when we throw them into the trash, they are contaminated and cannot be taken out and reused again, like we believe we are doing with paper and with cans and with bottles. Doesn't work with textiles. So if I can try to share my screen with you and see if this works.
Yes, Sarah should be able to make you co-host. Look at that.
Okay, so if we go here, can you can, okay. And if I go here, did I lose you all? I did, didn't I?
No, we're here.
No, we're
Looks
here.
great.
Fine.
Okay.
It's just a different view. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, okay, so you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm showing you here in this, you can see too much at once here. Oh, well, we will not get confused with that.
Yeah.
My last project, and we're talking about textiles. If you see right here, this is the banners that hang from city streets. We have them in Alameda. It says Bold Works San Francisco. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. And my research, I got a grant from the city of San Francisco because it's like, what do we do when the marketing campaign is no longer needed? What do you think? In unison, we throw them out. They do not decompose. They sit in landfill. And so in much research, what we did is we made them into these bags right here. So that's a bag that's made out of these that could continue to be sold, to be reused, to be reused, to be reused. Another project was the same thing. What I'm holding here is a tablecloth. I was working with the Hilton Hotel in the city of San Francisco. What do we do with tablecloths when they get that stain from the wine or the soy sauce and it doesn't come off? Working with students, we were remaking them into garments, reuse. So we constantly have to think about how we extend the life. I wanted to show you some of the work. I do a lot of dumpster diving, but this was diving on Pier 96, which is the Recology Center of San Francisco. And on this back wall here, these are all textiles. These are all
Connie, I'm not sure that your slide advanced. We're still looking at you holding up the tablecloth.
Ah, so you see that?
Yeah, maybe just go click on number 2. Will that help? I'm intrigued that you do dumpster diving, though.
I do dumpster diving. You can't see that, huh?
No, but let's see. Is there a way you could?
No, now it's there.
There you go.
Now it's there.
There you
Okay.
go.
So this is the dumpster diving. This is Pier 96. These are textiles. And if you think about it, I was here with students and I really, really, really thought that something was going to be able to be used again. Nothing. Full contamination, which got another grant, which we did at San Francisco State, which we called the WEAR movement. And we did a targeted ask for, these were clothing that we were asking the community for if you're going on a vacation, what could it be? Our biggest targeted ask was for suit jackets. They were what students then said, oh my goodness, I'm going to wear this to an interview. Okay. I'm going to show you one more slide here. And I will, let's see if I go, let's see how I can do this. Can I do this?
There you go. It worked. Yep.
It worked. Okay. This was most recently, you can see by our masks that we're wearing. This was at the Goodwill facility in San Mateo County. We were looking for 2 days, counting clothing. What you see on the table was clothing that Goodwill was not able to use. It wasn't their customer. So they were packing it up and sending it off, either to jobbers who are going to shred or to try to sell this to other regions in the world. Goodwill sells about, in their retail stores, about 25 to 30% of what they get in. The rest, they need to get to someone else. So we're looking at other options for Goodwill and what could happen. And my last slide here then is with a colleague. Can you see the last slide, which says recycle textiles at the top?
Uh-huh.
What choices?
Yes.
So
Yes.
for all of us, if you look at the bottom, the prevention scheme that I'm telling you about is we are part of, all of us, part of the organization. We can either discard our textiles back to our retailers, have them take the responsibility for them. We can go to the right and do it with our charitable organizations, or what I am really pushing is what's straight up, which is we can learn to reuse our clothing time and time and time again. Thank you. So I'm going to stop my share and you may move on.
Okay, thank you. Great information, and I'm sure that the audience and some of us on the panel too will have questions. But with that, let's then move on to Carrie Parker, and Ms. Parker is part of, you may know her name because when we get those spare the air alerts, that comes from Carrie Parker, who's part of the Environmental Services Division of our Public Works Department here in Alameda. So Ms. Parker is going to tell us about, well, you tell us. Please introduce yourself, Ms. Parker. Nice to see you, Carrie. And yeah, tell us what you do.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, I am a program specialist with the Environmental Services Division of Public Works, and most specifically in the Integrated Waste Division. So anything that has to do with trash, recycling, composting, reducing waste, I am that city department, right? This is our group. And my colleague Mark Green is also on this panel today, in case I forget to say something or, you know, I lose a little tip here. Anyway, I created a short presentation so you guys could stare at it while I'm talking, so that we could talk about like what to do with stuff, right? Stop Waste is going to follow up with a tool that's going to help us find the locations to get the stuff where it needs to go. So that's right after I speak, but I wanted to kind of say these are the things that are perfect for Alamedans. And you're gonna look at my screen here. Let's see, can you see that okay?
Yep.
So
Yes.
clearing the clutter, and it was one of those things, Mark and I pulled this together quickly, but I thought it would be handy for everyone to look at while we're talking. So let me see if I can get the next slide up here. Come on. Oh, nope, too fast. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of put a quick note in here about responsible purchasing in general, right? Think about it before you buy it, right? Buy less. Do you really need that thing? Let's avoid the trash or the dumping or the where am I going to take it, like long before, by not buying it in the first place. Think about if you need it in the first place. The second thing is purchase experience-based gifts, right? Less, you know, guitar lessons or, you know, any sort of thing that makes it so that there's no thing being created. It is really just the experience of it, because that's the thing we tend to remember. We want to talk about buying durable, right? Buy something that's going to last. Don't buy that thing that you know is going to fall apart shortly. Let's buy durable things that last a long time. Buy in bulk, right? Make it so that there's less packaging in general, right? You store it in reusable containers. Some of us have even found zero waste grocery shopping. Ask me about that later if you'd like. Avoid excess packaging. If you see something that is over packaged, think twice about getting that one, right? See if you can find one that has a little less packaging. And then you guys need to remember, you know, Seinfeld may have said that, you know, it's the re-gift. Well, I say re-gifting is cool. If you don't want it and you think someone else might want it, give it a shot. They might really appreciate it. Oop. Oh, see, okay, there we go. And then I also want you to consider the value of the unwanted items. This is before you even step into looking at the tool and where it should go. Try to repair and reuse it first, right? That is the first thing, right? I've showed a cute little picture here of a cute fix-it clinic. I'm gonna pretend this is two folks that are in the same household, right? No, this is pre-COVID. And so fix it if you can. We used to have a campaign in Alameda that said, fix it, don't nix it. So I really would like people to think about that first. This is repair your clothing. A little hole should not stop you from wearing it again. You can fix that, it's easy. And there are classes available for things like that. And then gift or donation, which is something more that Robin and Janine will be talking about from Stop Waste, about the possibilities there. But remember that if it's truly trash to you, it might be trash in donation too. We don't want to overload our donation locations with things that are actually trash that they will have to manage on getting it to the landfill. We don't want to do that. That's a kind of irresponsible donation. So try to things of value, things that you say, oh, somebody will really want this. And then at the bottom, those are the top two items. And there's a hierarchy here, right? I want everyone to try to do those two things first. And then if you can't do them, see if it's recyclable. When we're talking about things that are made of cardboard, that are things that are made of metal, that sort of thing, but only those materials, right? Not mixed metals, can't be made of cardboard and metal. Those don't recycle very easily. And so I'm saying, please don't wish cycle. On Alameda County Industries website, there is a cute little wish cycling blurb that you should check out when you get a chance. And then after all that, it goes to the trash, right? And so I wanted to then talk about options in Alameda with Alameda County Industries, our exclusive franchised hauler. They have a couple of programs for what the household you are in, depending on what that looks like. So for single family residents, you all pay for one free annual bulky cleanup with your rates. You have to call to schedule it. Basically what they do is they drop off a 2-yard bag. You may have seen it. It's like an IKEA bag, right? That sort of fibery mesh plastic container bag. And you can set out 3 bulky items with that. And one of those bulky items may be an electronic waste item. So that's for single family residents. That's 1 per year. You can purchase additional if you need additional. And then for multifamily tenants, this is something not many of us know. This is a bit of a secret program that we intend to, oh, my dog is about to make noise. I'm sorry for it.
Does your dog want to add something to the
she apparently wants to groan and moan at our neighbor, so you're going to hear that. Sorry.
Okay.
Butternut, stop. So this is what we call our a la carte menu. Multifamily tenants don't have that great on-call annual cleanup. There's not one free. However, usually I'm a multifamily tenant here in Alameda. If I needed to get rid of my couch, let's say it had been destroyed by my dog maybe, and I needed it hauled away, I could get this couch out to the curb, but at first I would schedule it first. And I could, let's see, I'm going to see if there's one. Is there furniture? Okay, 3 maximum, 75 pounds or less. Well, I would probably call them and say, okay, what about 1 couch? Anyway, the cost is only $27.81 to have that removed responsibly. Because if I pushed it out to the curb and did not schedule it for pickup, that is called illegal dumping. Everyone needs to know that. In single family and in multifamily conditions, anybody who's pushing something out to the curb, thinking maybe somebody wants it, you put a free sign on it, that's illegal dumping. Please don't do that. It is kind of stressing our government pickup crews in order to get that out. So, and also probably stressing out your neighbors. They're like, why do they keep pushing stuff out to the curb? Please don't do that unless something has been scheduled for removal. Now, and we can answer questions about this later. And I just wanted to put this slide in here because next up is Stop Waste. Robin and Janine, please give us a great tour of your little app. And I'm here for questions later.
Thank you so much, Carrie. That was great. And to Mark Green, I like your assistant there on your lap. And so, again, great segue, Carrie, like we rehearsed this. So please, we would love to hear now from our Stop Waste representatives, Robin Pluchak and Janine Sidran.
Thank you very much. That was a great introduction and segue to what we're going to present. Stop Waste, for those of you who don't know us, first of all, can everybody hear me? Just making sure. Great, thank you. Stop Waste, for those of you who don't know us, is an agency that serves Alameda County businesses, residents, and schools to help prevent waste, recycle properly, use water, energy, and other resources efficiently. And our website is stopwaste.org. We're a public agency, and we work with Carrie and all the other jurisdictions in Alameda County very closely on these topics. And today we're very excited to give you a tour of our new tool called the Resource Tool. We formerly had a tool called Recycleware, and it outgrew its platform. It was out of date, and it gave us a great opportunity to add in reuse and repair into our tool. So it's a sort of ambitious project because there are, as you may know, not a whole lot of options on some of those categories, but there are options. And so I'm going to give you a little walkthrough of the tool. And as I want you also to know that we launched it during shelter in place, which is a tricky time for everything really, but especially for businesses and services. So the data is constantly being updated, and we welcome your input as you, if there's over 2,500 different businesses or services represented here. So, that's a lot to keep up with, especially in a very dynamic time. So we do welcome your input as we go through this. So I am going to share my screen, hopefully. Let's see, where are we? Share screen.
It's worked so far, I have no doubt.
Yes. All right. Let's see. There we go. Let me go to.
There is so much good information we've had already, so thank you all. All right.
Are you seeing?
Yes, we sure are.
Okay, this is stopwaste.org's website, and this is the easiest way to find the resource tool. You simply scroll down, and there's two very prominent options. This is just a button, Start Searching, that will take you there. And this is a search field where you can enter what you'd like and your zip code. I'm just going to start with this because this shows you the full tool, just Start Searching. So this is the new resource tool, Alameda County's Guide for Reuse, Repair, and Recycling. And I will add safe disposal because that is the number one reason, one of the number one reasons people come, especially for household hazardous waste. And as I mentioned earlier, this is very important. All of the information in here is very dynamic. So we recommend that you please call first before carting off your bags or furniture or things to any of these places. So there's two different ways to search. You can either enter an item or you can use one of these little buttons that has a lot of our more popular items. For example, if you were looking to get rid of batteries, you can say, I have a lot of household batteries. I'd like to get rid of them. And it will autofill the field. And then you can enter your zip code, assuming that is the correct zip code for Alameda, for City of Alameda. And then you can, pardon me?
I said one of them. We have two, but that's
that works.
And the reason it is by zip code is there are a lot of jurisdictions in Alameda County that have overlapping zip codes. So there might be two cities that share a zip code, which is a complicated thing. But so instead of just entering your city, which might be a future upgrade, right now it's just by zip code. And this gives you a notification that household batteries are actually hazardous waste. And there's information, and I'll share this in a moment, about the hazardous waste facility and more information. There's also information about that this item is accepted in Alameda's Curbside program, and there's more information about that. There's an alert about how to dispose of them, to tape the ends. And then there are locations, and you can scroll around and you can see on the map how far this might be from where you are. It is free for pickup, and they're also sorted by pickup and drop off and other things, other categories, which I'll further share. So I'm now going to just do another search for you. You can, now that we've entered our zip code, that will stay. So let's say I have a bicycle and it's not working. So I want to find out what I can do with that. So I do find out that this item is appropriate for a bulky pickup, but I actually really want it to fix it. So here's a notice: consider reuse and repair or do-it-yourself repair through the iFixit or other online repair services. And then I go through and I can find some places near me, like Westside Joe's, Stone's Recyclery, that offer a reuse or repair service. And you can see that now this destination, reuse repair, is highlighted. And then we go into some that are in Oakland. So this is just one of the ways that you can look up sewing machines and other items and find places that might repair them. A few other features that I would like to share from resource, I'm going to go back home by clicking on the big button, is we do have information about how to dispose of household hazardous waste. And there are a lot of items that we generate: light bulbs, batteries, chemicals, that do need to be prescription drugs that do need to be disposed of properly. So we do have information about how to dispose of household hazardous waste. And fortunately for Alameda City residents, the facility is right across the channel. It's pretty easy to get to, and it's non-contact. You just drive, you make an appointment, drive up, and they take it right from your trunk. And there's very clear information and even a video about how to dispose of it. And then the other thing I want to show you is curbside services information. So we have, you can select your city, Alameda, and we have a list of all the items that are accepted in your blue bin. And then a little description about how you should prepare those, clean and dry, different items, what can go in your green bin. Again, it's a full description with some other additional information, and then your garbage. And this might answer some of the questions you might have about some of those items, about what is garbage and the wish cycling. Additionally, other services are available. Special items, as Carrie had mentioned, some of the there's other curbside programs like Christmas trees and CFLs and motor oil, bulky pickup, as well as debris box service. And then there's another section for businesses. We also have these materials fact sheets, which will be rotating more information through about some items that need special treatment or people ask us about really frequently. We do have some information on textiles, which I would love for Connie to review and give us some feedback on that in a later time. And
see, I told you, Connie.
Thank you.
And so that is sort of the quick overview of the tool. There are other things, as I mentioned. Paint is one. I know there's been a lot of household projects in this last year. So, there's information about where you can take your paint, including third-party places like Paint Care, which is a coalition that organizes like hardware stores and paint stores to accept used paint back. So you don't necessarily have to take it to a facility. You might be able to bring some items back to where you got them, particularly paint and light bulbs and oftentimes batteries. And I did want to, I'm sorry, I did not give a proper introduction to my colleague Janine, who is, I would say, the brains, the passion behind this project. She is the one who is the full database. She herself is a full database of all this information and is the person who answers questions that we get from the public, who holds all this information in a remarkable way and has really been the driver behind so much of this data in the tool. And I did want to say that our most recent newsletter from Stop Waste is what did include a decluttering theme and how to properly recycle, reuse, and dispose of your items. And you can sign up for our newsletter on Stop Waste. You could also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, where we frequently have posts about disposal and the proper way to get rid of things. I am going to stop sharing my screen because I can't see if people have questions. But if anybody has questions, I'd be happy to share. And Janine is also a great, as I said, she's the one that answers all the questions that people give us. You can throw something at her and she'll have an answer.
Well, and Robin, I just wanted to say thank you really quickly and to mention exactly what Robin was saying. One, we really rely on you all as the public to keep us informed and up to date, and Resource has a contact us portion for you to help us with that information. As Robin mentioned, it's been very tricky during the pandemic for businesses to stay afloat, and a lot of the programs have been either temporarily suspended or modified hours. And in addition, I just want to say how closely we work with our city partners, with Carrie and Mark, and it's really important that we show exactly what you guys are showing on your flyers and the programmatic changes that you all have so that we can communicate as clearly as possibly to the residents and businesses of how to, do the right thing, put the right things in the right place, keep materials out of the landfill, and do our highest and best part for, following the 4 hours hierarchy. And the prevention and thinking about it goes a long way. So thank you all for having us.
Well, and thank you to all of the panelists. You were amazing. So much good information. Love that Stop Waste website. That's really just so useful. And I do know that we have questions. Sarah has been gathering audience questions. So why don't you start us out, Sarah? And then, as I was telling you all before we started, whoever wants to take a particular question to answer, just shout out, whatever.
Great. So I have a few here. The first one is asking, they're saying that they've accumulated a lot of grocery bags, both paper and plastic, during the time period where they couldn't bring their own bags to grocery stores, asking where they can recycle them. They can put the paper ones in the recycling bin, but is there anybody who might reuse them? So where to put the plastic ones, and then if there's a way to reuse the paper versus recycling.
And Robin, do you want to take that? Yeah.
I'll take a stab at this, and then I might have Janine fill in. But one thing to consider is there are a lot of agencies that are providing food to recovery agencies that during the pandemic, food insecurity has risen dramatically throughout the county. And a lot of the agencies that are distributing food, a lot of the nonprofits can use those paper and plastic bags if they're in clean shape, especially the larger grocery bags for food distribution. So you could try contacting some of those. We do have a list on the resource tool of some of those tools, but of some of those agencies, but I know there's a number of very active ones in Alameda. And then the other thing is, if you do just want to recycle them, the film plastic industry has been through a lot in recent time, and without going into too much detail, the best thing to do is to go to your larger grocery store and ask if they're accepting them, and ask what they're doing with them. There are some places that still have their bins out, but whether or not those are being recycled, we can't say without asking the store themselves. Sometimes you can ask. I know at one of my local stores, they told me that they are mixing the stuff that they're collecting from shoppers with the film plastic that they have in the back of the house and sending them back to the warehouse. But it's really, it's very complicated to trace, to know exactly what's happening. So the best thing to do is to ask there. And Carrie and Janine, if you have anything further to add.
No, I think it's really, that's the answer. The recycling at grocery stores is happening less and less. You probably noticed that those bins are vanishing. So I accumulated a whole bunch of bags myself, right? You have to imagine how that felt. And because I always have reusable bags with me. But I have been lining bathroom garbage containers and things like that, lining my kitchen garbage container with that, because I don't generate a lot of trash generally, because I really try to buy less. So trying to reuse those as thoughtfully as you can is probably the best way to go.
And I'll just add my little tip for the grocery stores that still, I think they don't want you to bring the bag in, most of them, but you can bag your stuff outside. I just ask them to put all my things into another cart, and then I wheel it out to my car where I have my bags in the trunk, and just do what I would have done at the grocery store as they were, loading them, as they were checking them. So, but that's, what you can start doing now. But thank you. Great answer, Sarah. I know we've got more.
Yep, a good amount more. So the next one is for Connie. How should we be disposing of used clothing that we don't think Goodwill will want because it's ripped or stained or something like that?
See, I disagree with Carrie in the sense that Goodwill, even when they give our clothing to raggers, they get 25 cents a pound. So Goodwill's mission is not selling our clothing. Goodwill's mission is having funds that they can train people and that they can put them back to the workforce. So as long as it's ripped, but it's clean, I would still be giving it to Goodwill at this point, because we do not have set up another system in this country for recycling of those, which we will be getting to, but we're not there yet.
Exactly. And please don't include them in the blue carts. I want to say that right now. Clothing has no business in our recycling carts.
That's correct. That's
Not
when you
managed
saw
well.
the pictures that I showed you of what happens to that blue cart. That is it. It is waste. It will not decompose.
That's right.
Yes, and to follow up with what Carrie and Connie were saying, we want to keep those textiles out of the landfill, period. And of course, right, repair, reuse, try to give it to organizations or friends and family that you know could use it. And once they go to a thrift store, really thinking about those very large charity thrifts, as Connie mentioned, because they have the systems in place to go through the 4 R's hierarchy. In terms of getting them out there and to their other partners. It's not perfect, and there are many, many folks just like Connie working throughout California and the country to come up with alternate systems, and it's very exciting about what is happening out there.
It is.
Thank you.
Next question, is there a website where we can find information on clothing makers who use environmentally sustainable dyes and processes that are generally more responsible than most?
At this point, what I would do is I would suggest you go to the clothing manufacturer that you usually use and see what information they have. And if you want information from them, ask them for it so that we will get more information on a website. It is there, to my knowledge, and I haven't found one yet that does what that question asks.
Got it. Anybody else, or is that okay? Okay, so the next question is asking, and maybe this is for Carrie, what percentage of efforts from previous climate action goals are effectively recycled into the concurrent 2030 climate action plan moving forward?
Recycling goals are, the Climate Action and Resiliency Plan, the CARP as we fondly call it, includes, basically they ask folks like Mark and I to implement the Zero Waste Implementation Plan, which we updated in 2018, which includes a list of things to do in order to avoid the landfill, first of all, but also to reduce waste before it happens, right? So yes, we're doing all of that. We're aggressively pursuing that implementation plan. So that's still, even with COVID, we are still trying to pursue that as much as we possibly can.
And Carrie, while we've got you on the open mic here, tell us a little bit about zero waste grocery shopping.
Oh, I knew you would ask that.
I made a note.
I made a note too. I was gonna get to it. I actually thought, Mayor, that you got to it when you were talking about how you grocery shopped. I was wondering if that was.
Oh, I think Carrie can teach me a few new tricks. So.
This is just a new thing, and it's just a very new thing. So cost may be an issue here. But it's zerogrocery.com. It is an East Bay organization that basically sends you things in less packaging. So when I order cereal, Annie's Cinnabunnies or whatever it is, it comes to me in a glass jar that just says Annie's Cinnabunnies, right? Oh. This is the same stuff that you can get on the shelf at the grocery store, but it comes in a jar. And it comes in a bag that is a zero grocery bag, right? And I send those jars back. So I consume whatever was in that jar, and then I send it back. I have ordered things like, I'll order my produce, which comes bag free, mostly. If you imagine that things like raspberries come in a fiber or cardboard little container, right? As opposed to a plastic basket. What else is wonderful about it? The meat comes wrapped in paper. They include a bunch of, cooling packets that come with this that keeps all of my meats or cream or milks cold, and I send those back. So all of that goes back to Zero Grocery. They clean it and then reuse it and send it back to me. And I sent it so that there's this traveling bags of jars and stuff, once a week. I love it. So look it up. They now serve the East Bay and including Alameda.
Great to know. Thank you. Yeah. And what's next, Sarah?
Next question. It's two questions really, but the same. What can I do when I spill wine on my white clothes? And is there a cleaning method? And then can oil spill on clothes be removed on another agent?
Is that a Connie question or?
Yeah, Connie will try here.
Yeah, and
So-
I'll just throw in, there's a reason I don't wear white clothes, and that was.
Well, what were you showing us something, Robin?
What have you got, Robin?
I have a book called Stain Rescue, and I was about to look it up, but other people might have information off the top of their heads. So,
well, I think that the general really good thing about that question is that many times we have a small stain and we take it and we throw it in the washing machine, and we waste water in the process of doing that. If you just, what I would suggest for the is salt and cold water is something that I would suggest for the wine and the stain on the white. And the oil a lot of this really depends on the fiber content of the clothing. If it's a cotton, if it's a wool, if it's a polyester, because different fibers absorb different amounts of stain. So the oil one, I would put again in cold water with some soap and let it sit, and then maneuver the stain around. I mean, like patting the stain to see if it would, you're trying to get that oil out. But sometimes if it's a synthetic fiber, it's stuck. It likes it there. So then what you do, if it's a t-shirt and it's on the bottom of the t-shirt, you just cut the t-shirt off and make it smaller. If it's on the sleeve, you cut the sleeve off and you have a sleeveless t-shirt. I mean, and the piece that you took off becomes your new rag. Things to do.
Creative. Yeah, good tips. Thanks.
Excellent.
And the book again, Janine, or Robin rather, was Stain Rescue, right?
It's a Stain Rescue Good Housekeeping book that has been given to me by someone along the way who knows that this is kind of my world of
thing. Yeah. Okay. People can look that up. Thank you.
A couple more. How do I wipe and recycle old phones that don't power up? And what about old laptops?
Is that a Carrie Parker kind of question, or Janine, or?
Great question.
Dive in, folks.
I would really love it if Mark answered this question.
Oh, Mark.
That is a great question.
You're it.
Well, I would say, I mean, there are companies out there that handle shredding of these types of materials. I don't know, Janine, I'm going to defer to you.
Was
actually.
It phone, PHONE, or foam, FOAM?
PHONE, phone.
Yeah, e-waste, basically.
E-waste, where you can't even turn it on anymore. It's just sitting there dead. What do? You can't wipe it. It's just dead.
So one of the things that we recommend in general is, we have these 3 bins at home. We think composting, recycling, landfill, but really we need to have our household hazardous waste bin or boxes wherever we can store them. We've got a little battery holder, but we also need a box basically e-waste. And that's where the phones and those cords and cables, as well as any other monitors or computers, old laptops, tablets are going to go. And the beauty of where we live in Alameda, I'm an Alamedan as well, it's just we go across the Park Street Bridge. And now with COVID, we've changed our systems with the HHW facilities. As Robin mentioned, you go online, there's usually same day appointments for the days that they're open, and you drop it off. So that's what I would do with those phones and computer systems. If they're still working and you just don't want it, there are a number of resources that we have listed on resource under e-waste working or electronics working, especially with tablets and laptops in today's age of remote learning. And those organizations will refurbish them, get them up to speed and out to our local organizations.
Nice. Wow, that's great information. And Janine or Robin or Carrie or Mark, do you have that address for, I know where you mean, that's just over the Park Street Bridge, but for folks who might not have visited yet, maybe Sarah could put it up in the chat box.
Sure, I can put it on the chat box right now too.
Great.
Yeah, I bet you it's on the resource site.
It probably is. We'll just pull it out. But while Sarah's, well, I guess Sarah, if you can multitask, I know you can. What's our next question?
Yep. Next question. Is there any way to recycle or donate foil bubble wrap food delivery bags?
Those food delivery bags.
No, you really need to look for a reuse option with those. That a lot of those food delivery packs many of the things are not recyclable. Even when I'm talking about the zero waste grocery with those cooling containers, those aren't recyclable really. So I'm happy that I get to send those back with my grocery service. But when we talk about the monthly thing or the, meal kits, much of that stuff is not recyclable. So it would be helpful if it was reusable in some way. If you could find some sort of beneficial reuse of that item, that would be great. And I'd love to hear about it.
Is it possible the people that are sending it out would take it back? I mean, if we could get manufacturers that put it out there or retailers that put it out to take it back and they reuse it because they initiated
that would be ideal.
Yeah.
We need more people to request that of manufacturers.
Thank you, Mark. That's right. We have to realize we're a part of the system and we can make the requests, and the more requests that go, the more things will happen.
A lot of the places that the meal delivery and the grocery delivery were taking them back prior to COVID. So I know that it's been a challenge in that a lot of the systems a lot of the programs that were in place have, and now a lot more of us are collecting those materials. So it does feel a little overwhelming, and there's not a perfect answer at the moment for that.
Right. To add on to what Carrie was saying, is that the reuse really is the option. And just as she mentioned, and that we're all taking part in drop off and delivery systems, a lot of people have switched their own businesses to mailing things in. And whether that's for textile reuse or sending something in to thread up, there are a lot of folks who need those mailers for their own businesses. Yeah. So consider if they're clean and dry, and once you have a good batch of them, say like 10, 20, then go ahead and post those on FreeCycle or Nextdoor or any of the Buy Nothing groups, and you might have people snatch those up quite quickly. And it's the same with some of those gel packs. If they're in non-leaking good condition, any other sort of good conditioning packaging materials. You just never know. It's not perfect, but it's one way of getting them reused.
Janine, I'm so glad that you mentioned FreeCycle, because that is another way that you can give items a second home. Do you want to just walk people who might not have experienced or tried FreeCycle? Just tell them a little bit about how you do that. I know my husband is the FreeCycler in our house. And it works, and it just makes you feel so good to know that something that's just been taking up space and you're not using it is somebody else's treasure. And so you might just give us a little.
Sure. And then I know everyone else of the panelists can add on too, but I am an avid FreeCycler, and there is a very big group of FreeCyclers here in Alameda and the whole Bay Area. The trickiest part, I think, is just signing up for it and being willing to get those emails a day, but you can basically get anything you want, and you can get rid of, anything in good condition. And basically you put it on your porch, someone will come and pick it up. You help to choose who's going to take care of that, or, who's going to pick it up. And it's great whether it's for a plant or for a bed or kids' boots, kids' clothes. It's a really great way to keep these items in our own community, especially for those who need them during this time especially.
Yeah, fully agree. And in addition to FreeCycle, just like Janine mentioned, Buy Nothing Alameda is a Facebook group that I'm a part of, that I assume that Janine is a part of, that you can post anything very easily. You say, okay, here is this old file cabinet here and in good condition, although it's got this one corner dented, and you show pictures of it and people say, oh, I want that file cabinet. Oh, I want that pack of socks that you never wore. I mean, and it's like that. And it leaves, it's a beautiful thing, really, because it's Alameda residents that are recirculating this material on the island. I love it.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, we've all been impacted in one way or another by this pandemic, but some people have really experienced economic strain, and so if we can just make their lives a little easier, that's a great thing to do. Let's see, Sarah, how many more questions?
So I have one more question that's on this topic, and then I have another question for you at the end. So on this topic, I think for Connie maybe, how do I comprehend which clothing textiles are best for multiple seasons to have less garments in my collection? Do I want lots of polyester? How does polyester break down sustainably? Great question.
Yeah, that is a great question. And I would say in terms of the one fiber, lightweight wool is something, depending on what your job is. I would say it's really up to you how things feel on you and how things fit. Layering is something that I would say of garments. A lightweight wool or something that has that within it. In terms of polyester, polyester gets a lot of, I know there's a lot of negativity about this fiber out there. And I would say the one thing about polyester is, though, depending on how it is manufactured, which we don't have that much information on, but you can take your polyester, you can rinse it out in the sink, you can hang it up to dry. When you go to travel with polyester, it takes up zero room. So there is a lot of goodness within this fiber. This polyester shirt that I'm wearing here today, I must have gotten it 20 years ago. It was from a local manufacturer, Babette, when she was in Oakland, but it lasts, it maintains, whereas cotton is also a wonderful fiber, but it does not always last.
Great. And actually, we had one more question come in just asking about garage sales. Is that okay? And I'll just answer that to say that they're considered outdoor retail, so definitely okay currently.
Okay,
with COVID.
but you have to be wearing your mask at all times. You have to be doing the social distancing. And I would be a little bit concerned about the shared surface. So, you know, COVID style yard sale, maybe, but definitely outside, not actually in the garage. But that's usually what a yard sale is.
Yeah, and I think that they would have to follow all of the protocols that any other outdoor retail would have to follow. I remember this question coming up a bit ago, and it, you know, thinking, gosh, what you know, it's different, but it's So they're all of those safety protocols for sure. Okay, and then the last question, Mayor, I'm just going to read this. This person is saying, Alameda is at a critical point with homelessness on our island. We have homeless encampments in the Tube, Lincoln Park, and now on Shoreline. These folks are some of the worst offenders of refuse and trash. This person says, I'm not someone who is uncaring for the unhoused, and allowing homeless encampments to establish here is not any kind of solution. What are you proposing to do to actively manage the issue of encampments in the island? Theft and crime have risen. I hear there is a pit that East Bay Mud has dug for human waste at the entrance to the Tube. This should not be an acceptable solution.
I have not heard that, but so let's talk about homelessness. We do have encampments in places around the island. We, like every other city, is grappling, Alameda is grappling with a homelessness issue. I have gotten a number of emails about a tent that was set up on Shoreline Drive that is being removed. That's near an outfall that we just, you know, it's tricky. You've probably heard it said that there are laws that prevent us from just telling people, can't sleep here, just pick up and move, without having a place where they actually can go. So that's called the Boise decision. That's a whole other topic of conversation. What we are doing in Alameda is we're working with a number of different agencies, Building Futures, Operation Dignity, do outreach to homeless individuals. We connect them with resources, be it medical, mental health, resources to find housing, a combination of all of those. We have had successes, but it's hard to measure. It's hard to measure when we've reduced the number of people in an encampment if the encampment is still there. But certainly during the pandemic, we had to thin out some of our encampments so they would not be hotbeds for COVID. And mercifully, and in part because they tend to be closed communities, we've had very few COVID-19 cases in our encampments, but we did thin out to remove some of our most vulnerable populations, older folks in these encampments who, if they'd gotten COVID, would be in danger of having serious complications. And that you've probably heard about the project Room Key Hotel, which is the Marina Village Inn that is leased by the county using state funds. And so some of the folks are there, including also some of our Midway Shelter residents. It's a shelter for victims of domestic violence and their children. And we needed to thin out that population to be able to do social distancing. So what can we do? I mean, in the long run, we need to put more roofs over people's heads. We need to build more housing. We need to build more affordable housing. I could get out on my soapbox and talk for the rest of the day about this. But in the short run, what we're trying to do, we've actually established it out at Alameda Point. We've got 4 FEMA trailers that we acquired from my lovely neighbor next door, the Mayor of Oakland, Libby Schaff, had some extra ones, you know, called and said, "Do anybody need some FEMA trailers?" I said, "I'll take some." And but that was another way where we housed folks from homeless encampments who needed to be out of there because of COVID. But we're working. We have outreach workers working with them, trying to get them into housing, and we're getting, you know, we're having successes. We have started a safe parking area at Alameda Point. Sadly, some of our residents live out of their cars, and these include families with children in AUSD. And the least we can do was to find a place for them to sleep safely overnight in their cars. It's enclosed, it's protected. There's restrooms and hand washing facilities, and but again, helping them to find permanent roofs over their head. And then we work with 2 great nonprofits. One of them is called Village of Love, and the other is Block by Block. And these are individuals, and I think some of them are actually formerly homeless individuals themselves. But if we get a call from a business on Park Street or Webster, or from a neighbor, a resident saying, "Hey, there's, you know, people are setting up a camp in my driveway or something, or in my doorway of my business," we send the van out. They go, they talk with these people, and again, limit to what you can do to actually remove them, but they've had remarkable success by engaging with people, by persuading them, "Oh, come out." Oh yeah, the other thing we're doing is out at Alameda Point, we've got the day center, which runs 7 days a week, and it's a place where unsheltered individuals can come, temperature check before you go in. Because of COVID, you register, it gets you into the system so that we can help connect you with resources. You can also get a snack. You can get, there's a clothing closet. I should say this. This is an area where if you have durable, in good condition clothing that someone who lives on the street could use, jeans, sturdy jackets, you know, good solid sturdy shoes, that sort of thing, there is a way that can be donated to the day center. I would probably say send Sarah an email and we'll get you more information. Don't thank me, Sarah. But anyway, they bring folks in the van over to the day center, and they help them get connected with the resources. So if you and there's a hotline, right, for the
yes, I will pull I'll pull it up as you do it.
But then I'm going to use that to segue. I know we're going a little over, but I'm going to segue into a program that we launched at the end of last year that I'm really proud of. It's something I heard about. I'm part of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and we have many concerns these days as mayors. Oh my gosh, I have to triage my worry list. But one of them is our small businesses are, you know, just holding on. Help is on the way. That federal stimulus bill finally got passed. You may have heard we have a new president on the way who's going to get even more money into the hands of our individuals and businesses who need them. But in the meantime, restaurants have been especially hard hit because, as you know, in most of California and certainly the Bay Area, they cannot open even for outdoor dining right now while the COVID rate is so high. So they're relying on takeout and delivery. So the U.S. Conference of Mayors had this webinar about how to help our restaurants. Great idea. Out of it was, see if you can leverage buying meals for people who need meals with supporting your restaurants, and that's what we've done. The city was able to find, and I see Lois Butler from Community Development. She's working really closely with me on this. Hi, Lois. We were able to find $25,000, and so working with restaurants in our city, they established that $25 per meal would be a reasonable amount to pay, which will give them some profit. So for 90 meals at a time, we can serve our Dine and Connect program, and that's a weekly program where various faith organizations in our city host unsheltered individuals, and there's other services that are provided at the same time, like the mobile clinic from Alameda County Public Health and showers and laundry. It's pretty awesome. But usually these church groups do like potluck. Well, and now it's just meals to go. Well, this program of the 90 meals includes meals to our Dine and Connect recipients, meals to our Midway shelter residents, meals to the folks in the FEMA trailers, just safe parking, and they even deliver them out to the encampments, because there are some folks who just won't leave their encampments. Oh, I know that there was a question earlier about the waste that is generated. Yes, if you're living on the street, you still have the same needs that we have in our who live in under a roof, but you don't maybe have a bathroom to access and all those things. But health and safety is extremely important. So you have probably seen that out on Constitution Way near the Tube. And again, that's not city property. It's either Caltrans or Union Pacific Railroad, but there are porta potties, there are dumpsters, because that's where we want those, we don't want waste just piling up. Our city manager has worked long and hard and continually with Caltrans to make sure that we get regular maintenance and cleanup of that area that they own near the Tube. And then around town, you've seen portable restroom facilities and hand washing facilities or hand sanitizer. So it's a constant challenge. We're working on it. At the end of the day, what we need is to get more people housed so they're not relying on these makeshift solutions. Coming to us sometime in 2021, I'm hoping is community cabins. That is a model that Oakland has used to house people in transitional housing, but while they're getting connected to these resources to get them into permanent housing. So that was a long-winded answer. It's a complicated question, but to the restaurant program, how you can help. Sarah or Lois, do you want to just pop on and tell? And I will tell you that, so the $25,000 buys about 11 weeks of these 90 meals. So, and how it works is restaurants register to participate, and then it's a lottery system. I have nothing to do with it. That's, I think, Lois's bailiwick. But a restaurant is chosen to provide 90 meals on this particular day. And so then we wanted to, that was seed money, the $25,000. I wanted to extend the program. So we have gotten some of our organizations, Alameda Rotary has said we'll buy 90 meals.
I have to speak with the mayor.
That's me.
Ask him if
Alameda Rotary has provided 90 meals. Alameda Police Officers Association is providing 90 meals. The board of the Chamber of Commerce is providing 90 meals. I talked to the Firefighters Association, waiting to hear from you guys if any of you are listening, and gals, but I told them, look, I know you can either match or exceed the Police Officers Association, but I'm hearing interest from other members of the community that would love to help fund these. The executive director of the chamber said, we would like to be able to cover restaurants with this 90 meals at a time through the second quarter of 2021, because that's probably what, realistically, we can expect the vaccine to help rescue us after that. But Lois, Sarah, what do you want to tell people about if they want to help?
Lois, do you want to go first? Yeah.
Sure. So Sarah and I and a number of other people, we're trying to set up with the chamber a way for folks to donate. So the chamber will have a button, or they may already have a button on their site where people can donate. We will be sending out a press release on Monday indicating how you can sign up.
So stay tuned, because it's just a way that you can not only help your local restaurants stay in business. In this pandemic, 1 out of 6 restaurants nationwide have closed for good. We don't want that to happen in Alameda, but at the same time, you're helping provide nourishing meals for people who wouldn't otherwise have them. So it's double bang for your buck.
And I'm sorry, I have to leave.
No, that's it. Thank you so much and
I
for
have
all your
somebody.
good work.
Okay.
Lois is awesome. Thank you so much. Take
Thank you.
care.
Bye.
This woman, by the way, on Christmas Eve delivered, I don't know how many hundreds of cookies. You might have heard that our local restaurant, Papo, did this 1,000 cookie challenge to accompany meals they were donating to the Massac Senior Center and Midway and someplace else. They had lots of cookies more. So we said, well, wow, we know lots of recipients that could use them. And Lois came in on Christmas Eve to personally deliver, I don't know how many. She was like Santa and the elves all rolled into one. So anything to add, Sarah, before we?
No, just that we're going to try to make it as easy as possible. So we'll have that button out there on Facebook far and wide, and it should be, you know, a tax deductible donation, and it'll go straight to feeding the folks in Alameda that need it most. So it's a wonderful way to benefit, you know, both the restaurants who are struggling without not able to do outdoor dining right now, especially, and the people that are in need. So it's a beautiful thing. Typical Alameda, right?
Yeah, and if any restaurants are out there listening and you haven't heard about this yet, email Sarah or email
Yeah,
Lois.
actually you can, the restaurants can sign up. So restaurants can sign up now. Just go to our website. We have local restaurant program on there, and restaurants should sign up right away.
Absolutely. So you can participate. Anyway, thank you all of you so much for joining us. We're going to try to do these workshops every week, workshops, town halls to keep you informed. We'll be talking about the vaccines. We'll be talking about our police reform efforts that are underway. So stay tuned. Sarah is a genius at getting the information out and helping put these panels together. And thank you to all the panelists. You were brilliant. I know people really enjoyed it. I could see we had great participation just on Zoom, and we always have lots more on Facebook Live. So thank you so much for all your good work. Happy New Year, and everyone take care, stay safe, wear your masks.
Bye, everybody.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.